When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouthwatering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Money decisions don't have to be either or. With Bank of America, they can be yes and. Like yes to sunny vacations and rainy day funds. Can our digital tools and guidance help you create the future you want? Yes. And help you keep enjoying today too. Do more with a bank that asks, what would you like the power to do? Explore our tips and more at bankofamerica.com/yes and.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
What up, y'all? It's Joe Budden, here to talk about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win real money while watching football. You can get up to 100 times your money.
Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code SPOTIFY. That's code SPOTIFY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Welcome back to the Skating Penguin Network, everyone. It is Robbie coming to you this evening of November 11th, Veterans Day. Snell is on the other side of the mic in Seattle, as always. And two games to talk about tonight. We didn't get a chance to discuss the Penguins' Friday night win in Washington. So we will start off on a good note tonight before getting to the bad. But the Penguins coming off the bad loss in Carolina, you wonder how they're going to respond against the Capitals. This is on Friday night, of course. And they come out and 2-0 quick. As always, blow it. It's 2-2, but they buckle down and get 2 goals in the third period to walk out of Washington with a 4-2 win over a very good Capitals team. And Snell, I think we all have the same thought going into the weekend. The Penguins bounce back from Carolina, a big win on the back end of a back-to-back set with good teams. They go into the nation's capital, get the win, and heading into the weekend, I think we're all feeling pretty good with the Penguins getting that win.
Feeling very good. They got 2 points against the Capitals, no overtime. They actually didn't crumble in the third period. They actually had a very good showing in the third. I thought Noel Acciari just again shining. The penalty kill is unreal. I think that they've only allowed, you might have to fact check me on this, but I think in the last, at this point, the last 18 or 19 penalty kills, they've only allowed 1 power play goal or something like that. There's only one they hadn't killed off or something like that. So, felt great. I thought, this is the Penguins team. This is who they are. And just great showings from everybody. I thought, Joel Blomqvist, how do you send the guy down after he plays like he did there? Curious about the decisions with goaltending coming up, but I thought Gino and Sid were cooking. Raquel had just some unreal hop in his step. He had a wrister that was 97 miles an hour that kissed the post. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just a phenomenal game and a really good show of effort the whole time. Carlson is back from the dead. That game, he had a great goal doing what Carlson does. He had an assist. He took a horrible penalty. Carlson was just doing Carlson things out there. So at the end of that, I thought that might have been the turning point of the season where they're going to learn from that and be like, that's how we play. That's how we beat good teams. That's how we beat bad teams. And I know you were watching high school football covering that. But from what you've read and maybe stuff you saw, what did you come away with from that game?
I caught the extended highlights on YouTube, and from what I saw, Blomqvist good. Obviously, I think that's a big takeaway. Anytime your rookie goaltender puts in a performance like that on a road environment against a good team, you're going to feel good about it. And yeah, came out in that game, played well. I thought for the most part they limited Washington's chances. You don't like the blow to go up quick like that. You don't like the giving up of 2 goals, but that has unfortunately been a rather repetitive theme this year. But they do kind of buckle down and man up a little bit for that third period. It could have gotten away from them, and really, when I saw it went 2-2, I kind of expected I just don't see them getting 2 points out of this. You kind of just, and it's sad that we're in that position, but that has just kind of been the reality for the past 2+ seasons. Now that we're almost 16 some games into this year, but yeah, I mean, you like the way they bounce back. Erik Karlsson has the goal and then the assist to Bunting. Bunting finally seems to be, he got that first goal, got that monkey off his back, seems to finally be turning it around a little bit. But I thought overall, it was a good performance from the Penguins. It's a performance that made you feel good. It's a performance that felt like there was some momentum behind it. They were going to be going home. The schedule this week is not brutal. But unfortunately, Snail, it took all of about 3 minutes of hockey for that momentum to feel like it was completely zapped on Monday night against the Dallas Stars.
That is correct. They could have called this.
Yeah.
They could have called this game. They could have waved a white flag.
They could have, if they would have been doing everyone a favor if they just packed it up after the first period and just decided to save us all. Let the fans get out and be trapping and get home early.
Totally.
We kind of used the opening, that first game of the year against the Rangers, as the benchmark for bad this year. I'm gonna go on the record now and say that this is our new benchmark for bad.
Yep.
This is what we will look back on now, that when we say, well, it wasn't as bad as that time they got boat raced at home with 6 goals in the first period against the Dallas Stars.
2 goalies giving up 3 goals respectively each in the first period.
Any good vibes and momentum you felt coming off the Washington game is completely gone now. The Penguins, it's not a bad performance, it's an embarrassing performance. If you are a team like the Jets and you have a game like this, okay, whatever, that happens. The Penguins are not in a position, and this is just repetitive. This scoring chances, not just lifeless. It's multiple times this year. This team has looked lifeless on the ice against, Dallas is a very good team, but they've looked bad against average teams. And the Penguins came out flat. They were flat all night. Dallas had this thing wrapped up within like the first 10 minutes. I felt when it was 3-0, there's no way they're coming back. And it just literally got worse the rest of the first period from there. They literally the Stars doubled their lead from that point. And it's just an embarrassing, bad, ugly loss that it's bad. It's bad, ugly, embarrassing. That's really all I can really say about it.
Yeah, that's like a rebuilding, like bottoming out for whoever the first overall pick type of performances. I had to check to make sure that wasn't Jarry in net in the last few minutes of the first period, because there were some goals that Ned gave up that were just Jarry-esque. Like, I mean, when you've got a good team, you've got good players coming down Main Street with it's just you and the goalie. Yeah, it's like you flip a coin if a good goalie is going to stop that or not. Typically not how you want to see your defense showing up for your goaltender. But man, embarrassing is a good word. Basically, yeah, all of the demons that have ever haunted the Penguins all showed up tonight. Like it was, like it was it was horrible. And
yeah,
like you said, all the confidence from the last game against the Capitals was just extinguished in the blink of an eye. And going forward from here, all of the hope I might have had in this core and the depth to turn this around, I'm right back to chanting Fire Sullivan. Like it's just dug up a bunch of bad feelings from the past couple years.
And I saw it on Twitter. I was kind of following after I kind of tuned out the noise after the first period. Somebody said the roster isn't great, but it's not this embarrassingly bad, which to me points back to, and I'm going to say it now, it's time to fire the head coach. We said Thanksgiving. It's time to move on. And in reality, we'll probably look back and say that it should have been much, much earlier than this. But it's time, even if you just go interim for the rest of the season, there just needs to be a different voice in that locker room right now. It's very clear because at this point, it's been pointed out the Penguins aren't even doing the stuff that bad teams can do. Like, they're not executing line changes. They're just, everything is disjointed. When it's bad with this Penguins team, it is just ugly and embarrassing. If you go out and get beat, whatever, you get beat. That's fine. There's no effort in some of these games. And I just think that I still sit at the place where I don't think they're going to do it in season, but it's time to move on from the head coach.
I agree wholeheartedly with you there. I think that it's just the voice has been lost. I think right now the biggest voice in that locker room that dictates any sort of like effort and momentum is Sidney Crosby's voice. I don't think it's coming from Sullivan. I think that, there was a turning point, maybe not a turning point, but there was a point in the game against the Washington Capitals where Sidney Crosby came back from a shift and slammed his stick against the wall and gave the bench an earful. Like, he was very vocal. Ray Ferraro commented on it saying, "Oh boy, Sid's pissed. He's giving it to the whole bench right now. He's pissed about the effort." And after that, I mean, I don't want to say that changed the game because I think that it was a pretty good show of effort overall, but from that point on, you could definitely tell that when Sid said that, when that happened, it resonated more than anything Sullivan was saying in between the periods or whatever. So yeah, the voice has long since been gone. I think that you've got a lot of players that are very comfortable. I think there are some players, I think that when a good hockey team, there's a certain level of you got to stay on your toes a bit,
Yeah.
A lot of these players some of them have only known Sullivan. Like Brian Rust has pretty much, he had a couple of stints up with the club before.
But he was with Mike Sullivan in the AHL too.
And Rust isn't even the problem. Like, I'm not saying Rust is, he gives effort. He's one of the few Penguins you could circle that you don't need to look for him you don't need to look to give him a kick in the pants, so to say. Yeah. I think guys like Pettersson, I think Carlson at times, when he's not engaged, I mean, you might as well put a literal pylon out there because he's not doing jack all. I think you've got some of these young players. I think like a guy like Jack St. Ivany. I think that guys like, Puljujärvi and Puustinen, those guys are uncomfortable. They're kind of on, their position in the NHL is not solidified. And I just don't know if Sullivan's voice is getting through to them at this point. I think that there needs to be a certain amount of accountability again, like Sullivan brought when he first replaced Mike Johnston. Is that his name, right?
Yeah,
Mike Johnston?
Right. Yep.
Former Portland, what were they?
Winterhawks, right?
Winterhawks coach. Yeah.
I think he's the current Portland Winterhawks coach.
Yeah, I think he just went right back. There needs to be some sort of accountability. I think there needs to be some sort of a little bit of a culture change. And yeah, like you said, I would be shocked if they actually did do this midseason. Although I will say 32 Thoughts, the podcast dropped this morning. Did you listen to it?
I did not. I was busy at work today. I didn't even listen to any podcast today.
Okay. So Elliot Friedman said that there are some teams out there that are knocking on the doors of Quenneville and Todd McClellan, and there are currently some coaches that are currently with their respective clubs that are, it's not tampering, it's not as far as tampering, but there have been some, if this coach became available, this is a team said that basically that there's some coaches being courted for if they got fired. And I just think of the Penguins when he talked about that. But rumors aside, there needs to be some sort of, I think that this team, like you said, is not as bad. Like the things you saw online, the things that you said, Robbie, this roster is not a they scored a goal 6-1. It's not a 6-1 team. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this team is better. Mm-hmm. The roster is better than what some of these scores say and like these efforts that have been put out. So What can you do? What's the easiest thing to do? You fire the coach and get in your voice.
That's where I think that the roster's not bad. The roster's not this bad. So at some point it has to fall back on the coaching. And it's, man, I don't know how many more games you can have like this, because it's not even close to the first one that the Penguins have had this year. I mean, they started the season with a game like this. They've lost the 5-1 game to Carolina was an absolutely dreadful showing. I'm trying to think of some other ones here. The game against Edmonton, an absolute just embarrassing no-show. Just
the only guy who put his gear on that game was Joel Blomqvist.
Yeah, he saved 50 shots, was a third star, and he gave up 4 goals. It just at some point it all has to come. It's going to come crashing down. I don't know how many more of these you can take. We've had 3 or 4 of them, and it's not even Thanksgiving. The schedule does lighten up this week a little bit. But what if you go out and get embarrassed by?
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
Blinds.com is kicking off the savings early with Black Friday mega deals all month long. A Blinds.com design expert can help you make the perfect selection on your schedule. We can even handle everything from measure to your whole home installed for just one low cost. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Get up to 45% off site-wide, plus premium doorbusters and a free professional measure. Now at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
With Uber Reserve, good things come to those who plan ahead. Family vacay? Reserve your ride as soon as you book your flights. To all the planners, now you can reserve your Uber ride up to 90 days in advance. See Uber app for details.
The holiday season officially starts when you get that first card in the mail. Shutterfly makes it easy to add more meaning to the everyday with hundreds of holiday card designs that can be personalized in seconds with your favorite photos from this year. Select your greeting, customize the color, and even add little extras like personalized foil to make a holiday card that really shines. Enjoy 40% off with code SMILE40 at Shutterfly.com and send something meaningful this year. See site for more details.
Columbus like this on Friday.
Well, Columbus is playing pretty well. So we all picked them as a team that's,
they're currently below the Penguins.
They're below the Penguins, but there are some games where the effort is not an issue for them. Let's just say that. Maybe a lack of personnel, but I think there are some games that they've been putting up where effort is not. If they come and show any sort of effort against this team that we saw tonight, it's going to be another 6-0 blowout again with some guys that are trying, that are just cutting their teeth in the NHL.
After this week after this isn't exactly a gauntlet, but after this, leading out the rest of the month through Thanksgiving, you have Tampa, Winnipeg, Utah, Vancouver, Boston, and Calgary to wrap up the month.
Oh boy.
Is there 2 wins in there right now?
No. Not with this club that we just saw tonight.
I mean, okay, maybe you steal one of those.
Bring up the whole AHL team. Bring Boris Kachuk up.
I mean, it's just so bad. It's just, again, another performance like this. It just can't keep happening, and it does. And at some point, that falls on the coaching staff, and the front office is going to have to make a decision. And if you keep embarrassing yourself like this, you can't wait until April to make a move. It has to be sooner rather than later.
Well, Robbie, after that game in of all people, after that game in Washington, even prior to that game, of all people, our foes to the north in Toronto were saying that, the Penguins are a wild card team. They think that at the end of that Washington game, the Penguins were 3 points out of a playoff spot. Granted, there's a massive logjam, but there's an opportunity for a team that is even mildly consistent, and with this roster you'd think could pull away from a group and get some wins together. This team isn't a lottery team yet. Like, this team is not a lottery team. And I think that when you've got Sid, when you've got Gino, Letang, Carlson, and you've got 3 goaltenders right now that at certain times seem like they can all be 1A starters, it's not in the best interest, I think, of this team to just start planning for the trade deadline and how many first round picks you can get. I think that this team still has a shot at least getting close to making the playoffs. If at times the flashes this team has shown, like, they could be a bubble playoff team. And I think that you're not going to get that, though, if you don't make a change in the coaching department. I just don't. It's so early in the season, and you're not getting much of a response out of players. Like I said, the biggest voice is coming from players in that locker room and not the coach. Hire Joel Quenneville.
Yeah, I mean, they're not a playoff team if they keep putting performances in like this. No way. And they keep playing like this, they're going to be closer to a lottery team by the new year than they are closer to anywhere near a wild card spot. And at this point, it's got to change quickly. And there's no real – I mean, imagine if you go into December and you're just getting – you maybe win 3 games the rest of the month. At that point, it's over. At that point, you're cooked, and you're basically looking at who you can trade away come deadline time. And it just, at some point, there's a breaking point, and if it's not tonight, I don't know what it is. Again, I'm still not on board, or I at least don't think that they're going to make the change in season. But if you don't and you keep running with this, fans were sold a bill of goods this offseason that they were serious about winning.
Yeah, that's what they said. They talked to God, what game was it? They had a guy on from that 3-lettered group that what is it? The group that owns the Penguins now?
Fenway Sports Group.
Fenway Sports Group. A guy said that this would be a disappointing season if the Penguins didn't make the playoffs, because they believe that they are. I don't know. You got younger. You made the trade for Rutger McGroarty because he's closer than what's his name was going back the other way to Winnipeg. You pick up Kevin Hayes, a veteran who's unfortunately injured right now. I think the Penguins could use him in the lineup every night. I like that guy. You pick up a veteran in Hayes. I don't know. I just thought that this team was looking to make some sort of progress off of last year, which, the fine line that they missed the playoffs by, if you're looking to better on the years prior, it would be, you're talking about making the playoffs. Robbie, I mean, we didn't necessarily, I think going into our season preview that we had with Hunter Hodes, I don't think any of us had them making the playoffs. But we didn't have them even remotely close to what we're seeing right now.
No, not even close to as bad as what they are right now. This is there's been games that have been absolutely unwatchable. And coming off what they did on Friday night, it's even more disappointing, because not only are you coming off a big win against one of your biggest rivals, a team that has been playing really good hockey, you're coming home. And I'm not saying beating Dallas would have been easy, because if they lose 4-3 in regulation, we're feeling much different than a 7-1 loss where they give up 6 goals in the first period. Basically over in the first 10 minutes of that game. It's bad. It's bad performance again. It's similar to, like I said, they've had 3 or 4 of these already this year. And we might be singing a different tune if they go out on Thursday night and take care of business against the Red Wings, and then who knows what happens this weekend with Columbus and San Jose on tap. But
that should be 4 points, no question.
It should. The Islanders should have been 2 points as well, though.
Oh God, yeah, that one.
But I mean, theoretically, if you want to stay competitive, Detroit, Columbus, and San Jose should be 6 points.
Should be.
It's as simple as that. Especially with what's coming up in the next 2 weeks after this, you got to get, let's say at worst, 5 points out of these next 3 games. And I believe the Penguins can do it, but my faith in them in doing it is extremely, extremely low.
Yeah, no faith in this team right now. And I just saw a little thing here. The Dallas Stars scored more points in their recent game than the Dallas Cowboys did.
Yeah.
So when you're putting up touchdowns in the NHL, that's just
oof.
That's not good. That's not good, Robbie.
Very bad. But I mean, Jari's back. He's going to get us started at some point this week, I'd say.
I'm sorry. I don't. The Jari being back doesn't like. It's not like uplifting. It's almost just like, God, well, what do we do with him now?
Yeah. They have 3 goaltenders right now. 2 of them gave up 3 goals each tonight in the first period. Matt Nieto is down on the farm rehabbing. Kevin Hayes is on the IR for however long. Sam Poulin, who's been called up but did not play tonight. It's an interesting time right now if you're a Penguins fan. And again, more questions than answers. It seems like every night after a feel-good win on Friday. But it's kind of what Penguins hockey seems to be now. Just I hope it doesn't get too bad.
You hope that it does not get too bad indeed. But I did have, speaking of Matt Nieto scored a goal in Wilkes-Barre's game. They got a 5-0 victory over the Rochester Americans. And Philip Larson stopped all 36 shots. Is it time to start looking at Philip Larson for maybe a stint in the NHL?
I mean, man alive, if you use 4 goaltenders before the new year, and not because of a lengthy injury to any of them.
No, barely.
It's
no
not
injuries.
like tore a groin or something. It's just, why do you have 4 goaltenders? Because they all suck. And we're trying anything to stick at this point. So, yeah, I mean, who knows? It'll be fun to see how many goaltenders the Penguins use by the end of the year. Maybe we'll see Sergei Murashov come spring at some point. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter. You could put Vasilevsky in net for the Penguins, and I don't think that they're not winning any of these games either. Matt Nieto's back, which, we said last time jokingly. Wow. Forgot that guy's even a Penguin, yet alone in the, considered coming back to play. Rutger McGroarty gets his first goal in the pro ranks. So the sky's the limit from there. This was the 14th overall pick in 2022. Captain the Team USA World Juniors. I mean, this is one of their bigger players that is not in the NHL yet. I know he had a stint with them at the beginning of the year, wasn't ready. Him getting his first goal is big, Robbie. I know it's not worth, absolutely just like celebrating like this is the, the next Sidney Crosby or anything, but he went down to Wilkes-Barre and you hope that he responded. And I think him getting a goal is only good. I also saw that Tristan Brose factored in with a goal.
Yeah.
I didn't know Matt Nieto could score, but he scored in the AHL.
I mean, we all forgot he was even on the team.
A person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins are rolling, Robbie.
Yeah, they are. That is a good sign, at least. Those guys are getting not only experience at the pro level, but they're showing they're successful as well. Obviously, there's a massive step between the AHL and the NHL, but the more Tristan Brose is producing, the more that Owen Pickering is developing his defensive game, the more whatever goal is Murashov or Blomqvist at some point, whatever the case is getting reps in and building their confidence is good as well. There's pieces down there that are probably a year or two away, but they're going to be very important parts come a year or two when this team goes into a full rebuild and they try to pull their way back into being an actual contender. So, yeah, it's great to see them doing well. There was a couple years there where the Baby Pens really struggled, but they've kind of seemed to turn a corner a little bit. And that's credit. I mean, we can criticize Kyle Dubas for a lot, but credit Kyle Dubas for getting the AHL team back up and running and being competitive again with a lot of depth signings, some good drafting. And a lot of the good drafting that Kyle Dubas has done isn't even at the AHL level yet. So something to keep an eye on here in the next after this junior season ends and we move into the spring and into next season. So, yeah, good news coming from the farm at the very least. So we'll take good news right now any way we can get it.
We will indeed, and that's why we keep bringing up the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, because they are pulling their weight second.
We might just turn into a Wilkes-Barre podcast.
One day that the Skating Penguin Network design is just going to look a little different. It's going to be that buff Wilkes-Barre Penguin logo they have.
Yeah. We're just going to turn into if things keep going the way they are, we'll just turn into a Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins podcast for the rest of the season. So we have winning hockey to talk about. So, yeah. But
have you ever been to a Wilkes-Barre game?
No, Wilkes-Barre is like 3 hours away from me. So it's a pretty decent haul, and there's not really a reason to go to Wilkes-Barre unless you're traveling through it. It's just one of those out of the way. It's not really out of the way. I mean, it has a major interstate running through it, but there's nothing really up in that part of the state for us to venture up to. Just going to a hockey game is not really worth it. So, yeah. No, never been to a Wilkes-Barre game, but yeah, that's about all I got for tonight.
That's all I got, Robbie. The Penguins stunk tonight. There's
they did.
No sugarcoating it.
Yep.
That team that they put out there tonight sucked. And it was a good team that they were playing. I mean, credit to Dallas. I mean, they know what to do when they step out onto the ice, and they executed perfectly. Did you see Bugsy Malone in the intermissions?
No, I turned it off. I basically just did not even care to watch the intermissions at this point.
Oh, they had Bugsy Malone in the intermissions, chopping it up with Jay's Telestration. What's his name?
Oh, okay. The Telestrator, yeah. Jay Caulfield.
Jay Caulfield. And I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign. I think it's great when they get former players coming in, but when you start seeing Tyler Kennedy and Bugsy Malone and Colby Armstrong in the fold, these really great characters from the former Penguins that are like funny and good characters, some comedic relief, great personalities. Mm-hmm. It's like they're I don't know if that's a sign of bad times ahead or if they're just trying to get former players in the fold, but I will say I like it. I like seeing Tyler Kennedy break down stuff. Where are you at with some of these former players coming before we head off? Do you like seeing some of these, what do they call them? Like these alumni coming back and kind
of... Oh yeah. I think that's always fun. Especially in Pittsburgh. I think it's all great to see some of these old guys come back and either do broadcast work or work with the team in one way or another. So definitely enjoy seeing those guys back.
Yeah, how couldn't you? All great characters. But that's all I got, Robbie. The next game is on Wednesday, and they play.
Yeah, they play Detroit on Wednesday back at home. Yeah, just hope that. I don't know. Just hope that they turn things around again. They've proven they can go out and do it. So we just have to kind of keep our heads up for now and hope for the best.
Do we see Mike Sullivan behind the bench
on Wednesday or Thursday? Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I just don't see them moving him in the season unless it gets completely off the rails.
I'm gonna go out and say we don't.
Oh wow!
I think he's gone.
All right. So Snell putting his laying his bets down there, and we'll see if Mike Sullivan is in fact coaching on Wednesday. So for Snell, I am Robbie. Keep your heads up, guys. We'll see you again on Wednesday night. Maybe take some mailbag questions on Wednesday as well. We had 2 recaps tonight, so I don't think either was in the mood to really discuss too much more than what the Penguins did tonight. So once again, Snell out in Seattle, me here in Pennsylvania. We will talk to you guys on Wednesday.